Hey, welcome back, everybody, to the Level Up podcast for 2023. I'm your co-host, Brendan Payne. And wow, it's amazing that we are through the holidays now and ready to get into the new year. So I wanted to cover a topic that is coming up a lot with agents that I'm talking with on how do you get back in the game? We've all had probably a little bit of time off, hopefully, and you get out a little bit of a routine. And now it's like, all right, it's time to get going. And Greg and I were talking the other day, and we did one of the coaching calls that we do for our agents. He brought up the fact that we all have 12 months in a year, but the reality is a lot of us turn our 12-month year into 10 and a half, maybe 11 months, because it takes us some time to get going in the month of January. Then you get around to the end of the year, and of course we take a little bit of time that we deserve in December. So all of a sudden you look and your 12 months is turned into 10 and a half months. We want to try to avoid that part of it by getting back in the game as soon as we can in the new year. So I wanted to share with you I think I've got 6 or 7 points here on some things that are happening right now in the market that should get you excited, should get you pumped up to be back in the game. And these are things that the consumer's hearing, seeing, experiencing, and it's causing them to get back in. So they're looking for us as their partner, as their service provider. You've got to show up and be ready when they are, and they're ready. Okay. So let me get into these. There's 6 or 7 of them. Grab a pen and a paper and take some notes. Number one, lead flow is up right now. Every lead source that we have, the ones that we use, that we provide for our agents, and the ones that maybe we are third parties that we work with as partners, every one of those lead sources, the activity of the consumer is up right now. Now, typically that's seasonal. It's coming out of the fourth quarter where things drop off a little bit, but I believe it's a little bit more than that. The lead count is up, which means a couple of things. Lead flow and the amount of people that are looking online for properties, the amount of people that are looking at home valuations, the indicators that show somebody's interest in making a move, buying or selling, those activities indicate people's motivation. They also indicate kind of what their mindset is in the market. If you look at the last month or two, people are busy and they've got other things going on, lead flow is down. They might not be as motivated at that period of time because they've got other things that are happening, or maybe they just weren't as excited about it. They're waiting until the new year. Lead flow is down. Lead flow being up shows us that the motivation is up among the consumer and that their sentiment, their idea of what's happening right now in the market is getting more positive because they're getting re-engaged. Okay. Number two, buyers are getting back in the game. I'm talking to agents in all of our markets, and buyers are getting back in the game because there's no big changes that have happened in the last few months. We kind of fall into this, whatever happened last month, that's going to happen again this month, and a couple months ago, that makes it true for the upcoming months. The reality is the buyers that are looking today, they've already dealt with the interest rate challenges. They've already dealt with that there's still not a ton of inventory, even though interest rates are up, that they're going to have to pay more. If you're working with buyers right now, they might not like the fact that they're paying the interest rate that they are, or that they don't have the opportunity to buy something that is at a significantly lower price. They might be a little bit disappointed in that, but it's not necessarily keeping them from making moves. They're getting back in the game because we know motivation always wins. Their motivation to do whatever they're going to do always wins out. There might be if there's a change in something that happens in the market, they've got to get used to it. It might take a little bit of a time where they kind of chill out and they're not making moves as quickly. They're thinking, they're analyzing, stuff like that. We don't like that, I know, but they always come around because the motivation is what drives the decision. Number three, time has also started to wear or make an impact on the sellers in our market. So if you think about, you go back to the beginning of the second quarter in 2022, there was a big change. Interest rates go up and people are making, they're starting to think that, well, maybe now prices are going to go down. So buyers pull back to wait to see if prices go down. And then the sellers say, well, it's just a blip. The buyers are going to be back. I'm not moving my price because I don't have to. All this stuff was going on, a lot of confusion. As time goes on, everybody starts looking at it through a little bit different lens. And now what you see is you've got sellers now that are looking and saying, you know what, if I have to sell, I might have missed the absolute peak in my market. But if I look at it, I'm still in a really good market and a really good time to sell. And some of them are saying, okay, I'm going to have to adjust my expectations. So for the buyers in the market, that means that they're finding sellers that are a little bit more realistic than they were maybe 6 months ago. For the sellers in the market, they're understanding that, you know what, I still have a really good opportunity. And probably am selling at prices that if you asked me 2 years ago, I'd never think that it would be there. So everybody's getting a little bit more used to what's the current market wherever you're at. And that's a good thing. These are things where the consumer's experiencing this, it's affecting their activities and their behavior. We have to get in line with that. Otherwise, we're going to miss out. We're still going to be thinking that they're, singing the blues, and we're actually going to miss out on opportunities. Okay. Number 4. Inventory isn't up in most markets. Now, there's pockets everywhere. Even within your market, you might have some neighborhoods or areas that are up. But as a general rule across the country, inventory is not really up. But what I'm noticing is that churn is up. And here's what I mean by that. In a lot of markets, you are probably seeing a significant amount of withdrawn properties, or sometimes the MLS call them canceled, stuff like that. It's people that basically the contract didn't necessarily run out and expire. They just said, you know what, let's take it off the market. And if you talk to a lot of these sellers, or maybe you've had some yourself, that people just said, you know what, I was a seller here, but I'm convinced now my price is down here and I'm no longer a seller. They were motivated by price. They were motivated by that. Make me move. This is unbelievable. Get me out of here. If you can give me that price, I'm gone. But if you don't, I really wasn't that motivated to move anywhere. I just would sell if you could get this. Okay. So as they're convinced that they might not be able to get that now, they're taking those properties off the market. Okay. Because they're not a seller at maybe the market value. But you know who they're being replaced by? They're being replaced by people who are looking at the market, understanding that it's not necessarily the crazy market of 12 months ago, but it's still pretty good. They have a clear picture on what the value is. The agent that's working with them has told them it's a clear picture, and they're supplying them actual facts, not fantasy. And now they're going on the market. So deals are coming together easier right now, or at least they should be, because in most markets, there's more realistic sellers, and you've got buyers still that are qualified, and they're not like feeling a lot of regret or a lot of concern that they can't be buying in the previous market, which, by the way, they didn't like that one either. Okay. So understand, deals are coming together easier, but you got to have that mindset, and you've got to remind the clients that you're working with that this is really a good opportunity on both sides if someone's motivated to make a move. Number 5, and this is one of the most exciting ones, I think, because I just know how much the consumer's behavior and attitude and stuff is affected by all the stuff that they hear and read. And frankly, ours as agents in the industry, ours gets affected by this a lot too. In 90 days, so basically the end of the first quarter, we're going to cycle that whole change in the market that happened at the end of the first quarter last year when interest rates started really going up. We're going to come around where now the statistics and stuff, instead of saying, oh my gosh, sales are down 40% to last year. Well, they were comparing July of 2022 to July of 2021. And of course they were down. 21 was insane. So the message is going to feel a little bit different as opposed to when we were comparable over the previous year, or comping on the previous year with just these huge gaps. The one that we heard all the third and fourth quarter was mortgage application rates down 30%, then it was 37%, then it was 42%, then it was 46%. Every week, every month, it continued to get worse. Well, guess what? For the last 8 weeks, mortgage application rates across the country have actually been climbing a little bit. Are they still off from last year? Yeah. But we're tightening that gap. So that's some positive news. Maybe there's a whole new wave of negative news to come, and that's fine. We deal with that. But the reality is the positive news is a good thing to start cycling here in the next 2 to 3 months. You're going to start seeing those gaps be smaller. The next one is, if you listen to a lot of the economists, a lot of the real estate professionals, a lot of the authorities that are really studying the numbers, not the ones with the huge audiences that just, like to have the headlines or the great YouTube, title or thumbnail of them, scratching their head and saying doom and gloom coming. If you listen to the ones that actually look at the numbers, most of them are predicting a high probability of lower interest rates, possibly into the fives by mid-year. And, who knows when it happens, but that's a lot better prognosis than we've had for the last 6 to 9 months. And maybe we go up again, maybe we go down. Doesn't really matter. We know that there's still been transactions this entire last 12 months. So we know we can still do deals. But if that were to happen, there's a good chance it's going to get real active again. So if you look at some things that right now, your opinions on what's going on in the market, compare them to what's actually happening. Because if you're behind and you aren't seeing the optimism, you aren't seeing the opportunity here, then you might be on a different page as the consumer. And the consumer is starting to get back in the game sooner than a lot of agents are. So use this to be able to get yourself back in and understand that no matter what market you're in, no matter how many deals you're doing on an annual basis, nothing can take you out of a market where there's not going to be deals available for you. You will always be able to do the deals that you want because most of us work in markets where there's thousands of transactions. So don't get frustrated, get excited. It's 2023. Greg and I are looking forward to be able to bring you a ton of great content. Please leave us reviews, subscribe. Let us know if there's other topics, things that you are wanting to get some information on, hear us talk a little bit about. Give us that feedback, and we're happy to take that. We love it. So thanks so much, and we look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks.